Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is my first ever podcast, and for this podcast, I have invited my friend Shubham, who has done his masters from Germany. So he knows in and out about the masters in Germany and what are all the requirements, what are the intricacies of getting into masters in Germany. And if you have any specific questions, please let me know in the comment section so that I can answer them. Welcome to the podcast, Shubham. And thanks for giving us your time and sharing your information.
Hello, Deepak. It's all my pleasure, man. Very happy to be here.
So I will straight away ask you my first question, which is like, what do you reckon if somebody is planning to start his or her master's from somewhere outside? What do you reckon is the right time for that person to start thinking about like preparing for the master's?
I would say the perfect time is to start at the end of penultimate year, because actually when you go for a master program, you need like I think couple of months to prepare for exams if you're taking any, like for example GRE or TOEFL, IELTS, which we'll discuss about in the following episode. But in general, like you need a lot of things to prepare your documents. You need to ask the people who will recommend you, so give like letters of recommendation. So you need to even give them time. So I think 1 year is the minimum. So like when you, for example, if you're talking to, or if we are right now talking to a person who is watching from India, then I'll say that as soon as your third year of engineering is finishing, or like I go second year of BSc is finishing, then you should look for masters.
Oh, okay, great. Like you mentioned about some of the exams, like can you elaborate like some of the general requirements for the masters? If somebody is planning for the masters from outside, like the general requirement. For example, you mentioned about GRE, TOEFL, IELTS. Like what are the general requirements, and what do you reckon is like the good score? Can you can you tell the scores based on the universities or the countries? Like this much score is required if you want to get into US, in the US, or like in Germany and Australia.
Yeah. I think in the US, the scores thing matters quite a lot. Because like for example, I also applied when I applied for my masters, back in my bachelor days. I remember it was very specific for US that you need minimum this much of score if you are not experienced. Because if you are experienced, then there is a bit of waiver on the score. But if you're directly applying from bachelors, then scores are important. But for example, when you look for countries like Germany or in general Europe, I don't think so. For example, GRE is not required for Germany. Okay. So maybe before going on what scores are required, we can discuss like what exams are required for which country, and then we can go a bit deep dive.
So, yeah. Go on. Like just tell us about some of the exams from the US and some of the exams from for Australia. Let's say like Europe in general. And if it includes the UK as well, so like it will be better, because I've heard that the masters there is quite a bit different compared to the other universities.
Yeah. So for example, I would say there are 3 major exams which which every person who is interested in masters would come across. So one is GRE, another is TOEFL, and the third one is IELTS. GRE is like a combined exam of quant, so mathematics and English. But IELTS or IELTS, as some people call, or TOEFL, are the exams only to investigate or like to examine person's English language. So like how comfortable a person is in English language, and or as of course you will go to these universities to study English course, and of course in India, because our first language is not English, you need to prove that your English language is good enough. So as I was saying, that in the US it's quite important to score really well, especially in GRE, because it can not identify, but it can give a bit of proof of how good you are taking at general exams. But when it comes to European countries, like especially Germany, actually I think no one cares that much about your exams. Like there is a minimum criteria. So if you're above that criteria, it's good enough.
Okay.
Like moreover, other documents are more important, like your how you write your statement of purpose, or how actually interested you are, or how enthusiastic you are, or like how willing you are to go and do that master program, and what is your background and all the things.
Okay. So you mentioned about like a critical, like a threshold kind of like marks. Like after that, you are eligible to apply for masters in Germany. What do you think is that value when we are giving GRE exam? And also you mentioned about TOEFL and IELTS. Like, is it also valid for Europe, like the both TOEFL or IELTS, or do you have to give just IELTS for Europe or like TOEFL for the US, or you can just give any exam for any country and just like a requirement?
So I guess like I'm not very sure about this, but I think in the UK they don't accept TOEFL. They or even if they accept TOEFL, they are more inclined towards accepting IELTS because I think they are more the IELTS exam is more resonant with how their English goes.
Okay.
So I think for example IELTS has some bands. So out of 9 bands, or I think it's an exam of 9 bands because I gave TOEFL, so I'm not very comfortable with what happens in IELTS, but I'm aware of the basic stuff. So I'm sure that I've heard that 6.5 to 7 bands are like the minimum requirement. So as soon as you are above that, it's okay. The same thing is with Germany. If you have like 6.5 or 7 bands, it's okay. For TOEFL, it's an exam of 120 max. It consists of 4 sections. So speaking, listening, writing, and reading.
Okay.
So 30 each. And there is a minimum requirement for every section. So I think it is 22 for like like the best universities if you're applying in Germany or in general Europe. And the total has to be, so it depends. So there's some universities which accept more than 79, so 79 out of 120. Having said that, and in every how to say section you should have like 22 or 21 depending upon what
like a minimum marks, mark.
So you need to have like minimum combined score and minimum score in every single section. So it's like both are the requirements. And some universities have like a bit of strict requirement, which is 92. But if you have above 90 or 92, it's like very, very safe. No worries. Like, I would just like to extend one anecdote. When I was doing my master's in Germany, I had a very good, like one of my very good friends. He was also from India. So he did not even take any exam whatsoever. He just applied for RWTH, which we'll talk about the specific universities. It's one of the like very good universities in Germany. He got the exam, and the requirement was he has to just take the exam and give the certificate within the first year of his course. So the German universities are that flexible when it comes to masters.
You talked about flexibility. So let me ask you one more question. Like in India, like you usually do your higher education in English, right? So I have because I did my PhD from the UK. So what I heard from people there was like, if you have done your 12th standard from in like if you had a subject like an English subject and you have scored more than 80, then those marks are also acceptable in place of IELTS. So like, is it also true for Germany or like other countries?
Yes, it is applicable. I think it's not directly applicable as per marks. But in Germany, for example, if your bachelor's was in English, you just could get a certificate of medium of instruction. So you can just say that the medium of instruction of your education in bachelor's was English. You can have like the signature of the head of the department or a director of your university or institute, and then you can present that document as a replacement of this exam. But for example, it's my recommendation, because I know that these exams are quite expensive, and I think Deepak, you will discuss about it later, I'm sure. But if you're not able to afford it, then only you should skip it. But if you're able to afford it, I think you should go for it, because I think, in my opinion, it makes a difference, because right now, due to competition, I said, like, I gave an anecdote of saying that universities are quite flexible and sometimes they accept, but it's not in your hands. So I have seen some people getting rejected because they did not have that score and the medium of instruction. So for example, they have 4 people, they have to consider, and they have to give like admission to 2. They would consider how serious you are, or like how firm your application is, how sound your application is. And if you have like one document missing and another person with similar score, similar background, and it's a like, for example, if you're applying to one of the best universities in the world, competition will be there. So I think these medium of instruction letters could work, but it's a risk.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good advice.
I would like to give an anecdote as well. That I have a very good friend of mine. He's doing actually, he's not doing his PhD. He did his master's in Germany. The university is FAU Erlangen in Bavaria. He's actually a research associate now there. But before that, I remember he had applied to one Erasmus program, which was like 4 universities. So you spend 1 semester in every country of Europe. So it's like a sandwich program. And he did not take TOEFL for that. TOEFL was one of the requirements. And he did this. He actually gave this medium of instruction letter and he was rejected. So probably, and his profile was very good. So he got an acceptance from FAU Erlangen-Nuremberg, which is amazing university, just like weeks later after this rejection. So I think competition matters. So you should take these exams. Just to.
Okay. So great advice. Great advice. So let me move on and come to a very important question for which we have met today. Why should we come to Germany? Like, why should we choose Germany for our masters?
Yeah, it's a question that Deepak, we have to answer a lot. Whenever I think you also get to answer so many questions.
Of the world.
Yeah, I think them. Of course, I mean, I'm not saying that it's the best thing to do, and of course, there is no wrong or right answer for this question. But for example, I would give my perspective. First thing is the tuition fees. There are no tuition fees for like most of the programs. If you are going to public universities, there are no tuition fees, which is a big ask because, for example, if you are comparing like a master program, which is happening in the US, US you might need like, I don't know, $100,000 easily for like 2 years, along with living expenses and stuff. And here, when you compare the universities in Germany, they are free. So there's no tuition fee. But having said that, there is like a bit of concept of contribution fee, which is like 250 euros. It's like, I think it was, during my time, it was 250 euros. Now it has gone up to 300 euros per semester. So like, if you are having like, let's say 600 and then 1200, I think maximum 1800 would be your, expense for the university, which is quite cheap when you compare to the top universities. That's one thing. Second thing is Germany is at the forefront of engineering, innovation. So if you are an engineering student and if you want to go for research or manufacturing, like for example, because Deepak, we both are engineers, we know that the core company jobs that exist in India, for example, they are just the same job that you do without a challenge. You manufacture exactly the same thing, which you will be doing for like the rest of your life. For example, you meet the engineers in Jindal Steel, Tata Steel. I'm talking about these companies because my background is metallurgy. So I have done my internship in Jindal Steel, and you meet these people, brilliant people. But what they do in manufacturing is just to quality inspection and do the same production as they will do. So if you're interested in industry, and if you want to have like more challenges, I think Germany is one of those countries which provide you innovation and different challenges, research. You need to, on your feet all the time in your career. And I think you also get these things in the US because, of course, forefront of the innovation. But when you compare like with the countries like US, I feel like there is a bit of more of job security in Europe, in Germany than US. Like you won't get fired for like unnecessary reasons unless you are not working. But if you're working, you won't get fired. And even if you get fired, even if you get laid off, there is a bit of breathing space to look for a job. So if you want to have like a secure job which gives you challenges, I think Germany is a good option.
Okay. Great. Okay, so you talked about like we have to spend some 1,800 euros, like, but for some people that might also be costly, and also you have to, spend some money there for your living expenses. So like my first question is like, do you have some scholarships that people can go for? And second question is, if somebody doesn't get any scholarship, like then how do you manage your expenses? Is it easy to manage your expenses there? Like, do you get part-time jobs easily? And also how easy it is for people to manage the jobs with the coursework, like with masters.
So of course there are scholarships. What I can do is I can like give you some links after we finish this recording, so that you can you can put it in the
comment section,
the description.
So
there are actually many scholarships, but if you are again from India, it's a bit of problem because there is so much of competition. So I know for a fact that there are many scholarships targeted for women coming from India. So like if they are female students, they will have a lots of scholarships. I even know many friends of mine, female friends of mine, who got these scholarships. So it's great.
And DART also, like DART also, like you have.
You can also go for that scholarship. Yes, indeed. Yes. And there are many, like, for example, if you are topper of your class, you can apply for scholarships directly from the university. So those are great those are great scholarships. They can cover much of your living expenses. You really like hardly need anything else. So it's a great scholarship as well. But as you said, part-time jobs, it depends on your field. So for example, I studied metallurgy or physical metallurgy in Germany. So for that, the jobs were, so they wouldn't cover like whole of your expense. Normally, as an international student, I think it's the same in the UK. You can work for like 20 hours per week maximum.
Yes.
So I had got like 8-hour contract in my second year of masters. So I was earning like close to, I think, 400 euros, net, which was, and my living expenses in Aachen, because Aachen is not that big city, so a bit of small city, I was spending like 650 euros. So 400 euros out of 600 euros were getting covered by that job. So I did not need much. So that was a benefit. Depending upon your workload, so it could get hard. For example, for me, 8 hours was more than enough when it comes to, learning courses, having courses, because having courses and part-time jobs are not the only two things, because you also need to learn the language, which also is a bit of, hard thing. But yeah, I think you can still manage easily 20 hours of work if you don't want like both of the weekends. If you can just spare one day of weekend, you can do 20 hours of job. And so financially speaking, it is possible.
Okay. Yeah. So you talked about the language, like how difficult it is to survive there with the language if you don't know anything. Is English enough for you to survive there, or like do you like, is it compulsory for you to learn German, or like how does it happen? Like, will you be able to survive with English only?
Yes, you can survive with English, but if you don't just want to survive, then you have to learn the language. Language.
You want to make friends and like you want to enjoy your life as well, so you need to learn the language. That's important.
Yes, that's true. But even for job, I think German, especially if you're going, so if you're coming from computer science background and if you're looking for jobs in analytics, computer science, you don't need German, because like all my friends who did their masters in computer science, they hardly speak any German, because literally every single company is international, and everything what's happening is at the global level. But when it comes to mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, like whatever core or industry you're talking about, then you need to talk to technicians, and technicians will not speak to you in English. They only will speak German, and you need to speak that. For example, some universities also have this mandatory requirement, even though, like for example, at my university, like my whole course was in English. Every single subject was English. But still, the minimum requirement for me to complete my master course was to finish A2 level, which is like the second level. There are 6 levels: A1, A2, B1, B2, and C1, C2.
Okay.
So A2 was the minimum requirement for me to finalize my degree. So,
Okay.
that helped me quite a lot
Okay.
to, speak a bit. Of course, I couldn't be fluent with A2 because you need like B1 to B2 to be very, very good.
Okay.
But you still, can converse and you can still get work done, even in
Yeah,
English.
yeah. I think like when we go there, somehow like we get all those words, and like somehow we already like we always like tend to learn the language. It's not that difficult for someone. Okay. Okay. Now let's
Actually, before
imagine.
before Deepak, you move on, I remember one thing which I think I should also mention.
Mhm.
When you asked about part-time jobs, there are two kinds of part-time jobs. One is, I think people are more aware about these TAs and RAs, like teaching assistant and
Yes. Yes.
research assistant in the US.
Yeah.
Uh, in Germany also it exists.
Okay.
Uh, Being a master student, you will not get the teaching assistantship because teaching assistantship is a part of PhD in Germany. It also
Okay.
depends on which kind of contract you sign for PhD, but principally it is not possible for a master student to get a TA. So you cannot teach. The
Okay.
only job at the university is RA, research
Okay.
assistantship, which is known as HIVI.
Okay.
Is HIVI, HIWI, HIVI as a short form. It has a
Okay.
long German long form, but I will not bother people with that. So it can go till 20 hours contract, as I said, per
Okay.
week.
Okay.
If so, getting that is a bit hard depending upon how good you do in the subject and how well you score, how well
Okay.
you answer and you integrate with the professor, interact with the professor. So it depends on that. Second thing is getting jobs like outside, for example, in chocolate factories or packaging factories, like not academic jobs.
Okay.
These jobs also pay the same because the minimum wage is like, I'm not sure how it is right now, but like 10 euros per hour or 12 euros per hour, something like that.
Okay.
So you will earn exactly the same thing. Doesn't matter what kind of job you're doing in part time.
Okay.
But it's quite easy to get these jobs. Like there are many agencies. So you just go with your documents. You tell them that I'm looking for a job,
Okay.
and then they will give you work. So you normally work on weekends or
Okay.
like evenings, even night jobs. And if you are doing like a night job, then you get an extra salary. So I think financially it's quite doable without
Okay.
even learning the language.
Okay. Okay. Great. So let's imagine like somebody has cleared all the requirements to come to Germany. Now he or she wants to choose a university to go to. Can you like break down the university levels, like which university to choose, and should we go rank wise, or like does rank matter, or should we like just go for the universities which are focus, like should we choose our university based on what we want to do, or like if we want to focus on the jobs, like how can you break down the universities and how should we choose the universities?
Yeah, I think I will have to like talk a lot because the question is very important because
Yes.
like, so first I'll say that there are two types of universities
Mhm.
in Germany. One is literally known as university, like technical universities like Technische Universität.
Okay.
And another one is Fachhochschule,
Okay.
FH, which is like a university of applied sciences.
Okay.
So like more like engineering or execution kind of a thing, and university is more like at theoretical level, research level.
Okay.
So in India, like we are quite, or even I think in the US, in the UK, even in France, that we see currently,
Yeah.
Deepak, the rankings have a lot of influence. But I think Germany was a country, or is a country actually. Like when I spent my time there, I felt that rankings doesn't matter at all.
Mhm.
If
Okay.
your perspective is to get a job in the country, because
Okay.
if you are getting a job in the country, it actually doesn't matter which ranked university you're from, as long as you have the knowledge and you have grades are also quite important
Okay.
in
Okay.
this aspect. Ranks would matter, of course, if before doing your masters, you are quite sure that after masters you will go for a PhD in different country. Because
Okay.
if you are going to a different country, then of course the reputation of the university matters a lot.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Do
these
you
things.
have any example like where you can say, okay, this guy chose, he had a good score and like he did not, he chose something which was important. Like he chose a university which was not that high in the rankings, but he got the jobs and now he's doing good.
Like, for example, that's a good question because I actually have a story regarding it. When I was doing my bachelor's in India, when I was my first year, I had like a senior in the fourth year.
Okay.
He was like one of the brilliant guys, in the university. He went for a job. I think he was selected for a job in Tata Motors. He worked there for like a couple of years. He took the exam of GRE. He had like 334 out of 340 in the GRE, which is like an amazing score. So he had like, I think, I'm not sure if he was the gold medalist, but he had surely more than 9 GPA out of 10, which is like a great score to begin with. 2 years of experience. I think he did not have like a research paper, but of course for a master's, it doesn't matter that much. So he could have got like any university, and I think he got like 118 or 119 in the TOEFL out of 120. Also like a great score. But even despite of having all these great scores, the university he went to was Fachhochschule, the one I said, applied sciences in Esslingen, which is like a city in Stuttgart. It's like a very small town near Stuttgart. I beg your pardon. And so I actually, when I heard that, it was a bit shocking to me because I hadn't heard about the university back then when I was in India, and I checked online. I was like, this university doesn't have like a good ranking at all. But when I came to Germany, I saw like how different the culture is, and I saw how great he's doing. I think he is doing. He's working with Bosch right now. So Bosch is like a multinational company in Stuttgart. There are many different companies like Daimler, Porsche. So due to the hub of so many industrial companies, it's so easy for that university. So just an example. But as I was saying, that it doesn't matter what ranked university you are going, choose wisely what you want to do. If you are very sure that you are going to go in the industry, you want to go for a job, go to that university, focus on German language, and like there is 100% chance that you will get a great job.
Okay. That's great.
As I was saying, Fachhochschule, FH, is a great option. But there is a difference even on theoretical level or even on paper. So when you talk about, the credits, I'm sure even in bachelor's, you have like minimum credits. So minimum exams you have to give, like the bachelor thesis and internship will have like 10 credits, 15 credits, whatever. Even in masters in Germany, it has the same system. The program is ECTS. The credit system is ECTS. And when you go to a university like a TU, technical university, the credits that you get is 120. And if you go to FH, which is like Fachhochschule University of Applied Sciences, you get the credits which is equal to 90. So if you do a master's at Fachhochschule, you cannot go to a PhD because the German PhD requirement is like 120 credits. So the program which is being developed at an FH, which is Fachhochschule, is more towards how you do an industrial job. So it's very I don't know how to say, environment or atmosphere specific. So if you go to Fachhochschule, it will be a bit hard to go for a PhD. Then you need to work a bit, do a bit of research, take a voluntary thesis, and then you can switch to PhD, which could be a bit hard. So there is a bit.
So like there are no chances that you can go to, let's say, for example, somebody might do his or her masters in FH, but then he somehow decides to go for, like he or she somehow decides to go for PhD. So he or she will not get the PhD, or is it like the person will get the PhD, but they will have to do some extra work, like for example, doing some like the voluntary thesis or some extra courses in order to
complete that 120 credits.
Okay.
So even like I have a friend who started his masters at Volksschule Aachen, FH Aachen, and then I think he got interested in research. So he had to do like voluntary, in thesis and more more of this research works to get like into a PhD program. And finally, he get at RWTH, which is like a TU PhD.
Okay.
And when you talk about TU, like technical universities, there is a group of TU9 in Germany. Like for example, when we talk about IITs in India, they are like the top 5-6 IITs like IIT Bombay, Kharagpur, Kanpur, Delhi, Madras. The TU system in Germany also is a bit same. The concept of TU9. So there, I'm just looking at the webpage, and the universities are like the Technische University at the Berlin, is like in Berlin. The TU Braunschweig, TU Darmstadt, Dresden, Hannover, Karlsruhe, Munich, Stuttgart, and Aachen. So these universities are like considered to be good for international exposure. I'll also share the link, so maybe you can also put it into the description.
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, so my next question to you is, okay, let's say somebody has decided that these are the universities where I want to go to. Can you tell us like what is the procedure to apply for the universities? Like, do you have a centralized system or do you have to apply it separately? And also please talk about the documents that are required. And like, should the documents be in English or in German, or like any of them will work?
So there is, so for the universities which I talked about like just now, most of the TUs, which is like TU9, and many of the for Schuler, you need to apply directly to the university program. So even like you don't you apply to a university in general, you apply to a specific program to that university or at that university. So if you are applying to the 2 different programs, you have to apply twice. So it's that specific. Like because back in India, we have this system of like having a priority list. After, as soon as we have a score, we have like a priority list of all the programs and all the universities that we want. But no, here we apply directly to the universities. I am aware that there is like one centralized process for some universities, so you can do that. But to be honest, I'm not very sure about that, because when I applied for the university I went to, it was a direct system, and it is still direct for that university. But maybe I'll try to find out that link, and maybe we can put it in the description. But to maximum programs, you have to apply directly. And the documents that you require normally is a statement of purpose, which is like the most important document in the application package. A statement of purpose could be like from 1 page to 2 pages. Maximum is 2 pages. Don't never go more than 2 pages. This document, for people who are not aware, I'll just like to expand a bit, is like why you want to apply for that specific program. And then you can go a bit wide, like why that university, why that city, why that why that country. So then you can go a bit wide. So in this document, mostly you write an essay of like how your background starts, or like where you come from academically, of course, not personally, and what is your background, how you like what all internships or what all projects you did. How involved you were in the extracurricular activities at the university, and then you are trying to sell yourself to that program. So,
and sometimes like these extracurricular activities give you, can help you in getting into good universities. Because what I remember these days, like what I understand these days, like people like university, they just do not want you to just focus on your academic stuff, but they also want you to get trained on different other aspects. For example, if you are, they want to basically make sure that you are creative enough, right? You're spending your time doing different things.
That's very true. So you should try to even focus your CV in the aspect of how versatile you are, or like how multifaceted your background or your personality is. And there is even one more aspect, which is I think a myth, is you have to have like great GPA in your bachelor's if you have to go for a master's. It's wrong. I'm saying it because I did not have like a very good GPA in my bachelor's to begin with.
Yeah.
I remember I went to the same phase, because I heard that for a master's you need like a 8.5 or 9. I remember I used to read on Quora because I was thinking to apply for this university, RWTH Aachen, which I went to. And then I still remember I had checked like what is the bare minimum, because on these web pages of university, of course, they don't mention what is the minimum requirement, in GPA. Of course, there is never written. So I was searching once on Quora, and one Indian guy, he actually wrote that the programs, and he actually applied to the same metallurgical program that I applied to. Or actually, I applied to the same program that he applied to, because he already passed out from the university when I was reading that answer. And he had written an answer on Quora like 8.8 or 8.9 is the minimum GPA that you require, for that program. And when I was reading that program, I was reading that answer, my GPA was like 7.9. So I was very depressed. I'm very honestly telling you, I was very, very depressed. I was like, okay, I have no chance whatsoever, because 7.9, I still had like 2 semesters, but the last semester doesn't count because you have to, apply in your in your 8th semester. So so I had only 1 semester, and I cannot go from 7.9 GPA to 8.9 in one. So I was so depressed. I talked to like some of my seniors, and a senior of mine who was already in Germany, but in the TU Munich. He convinced me like it doesn't matter. Of course, it's competitive. You need to perform well, but it's not like there is minimum requirement. If you tell them like how important that program could be, and how you are really interested in your statement of purpose, there is no minimum requirement. So for people who have like low grades, please don't get depressed. You should always apply, and these are always just myths.
Yeah. If that would have been the case, then I would have never got into any German university for my master's. Okay.
Other documents, sorry. No, because we need to still talk about other documents. So one is statement of purpose. Then the second one, as I said, is letter of recommendation or letters of recommendation. It depends on university, but normally you need like 3 recommendees, or like people who recommend you. And there is like a physical letter of recommendation. You need to ask them to write for you with their letterheads and everything. Depends. Like some universities, they require like 2 letters. Like for example, RWTH Aachen asked me for like 2 letters, but still you can send more if you have. Normally, when you are sending these 3 letter of recommendation, you should always go for like 2 academic and 1 industrial. It's like the best combination, because like if you are having all 3 academic, then it could be 2 academic. So the university might think that you are just doing your theoretical thing and you are not experienced in industry at all. And if you go like 2 industrial, then people will think that you are just on the applied side of the sciences. So, or for example, if you are.
But in sometimes like it's very difficult to get a recommendation letter from someone who is in industry, right? Especially when you talk about India, usually even the industry, like the internship that people do, they are also not in industry sometimes, right? So what happens when somebody does not have that industrial?
Then you can go for 3 academic letters of recommendation. But what I'm saying is like the best case scenario, because normally in engineering, like it's more probable that people will actually have like an industrial internship, or it could be just an industrial visit or something. If you have, then you can talk to the person. But because I get some questions, like it could be a basic confusion. Some people think that you can ask for anyone, for a letter of recommendation. You cannot. The person should have either taught you in a class, in a lecture, or he should have supervised your internship, or he should have worked with you. But then, for example, when you're doing an internship, and if you are asking another intern to give a letter of recommendation to you, you can still send it, but it will not have any influence.
It doesn't have that impact.
Yeah. So you should always look for some higher people who have some, influence or name, reputation in the industry.
Yeah. And also, like, how about the language of the documents? Like, should it be in German?
Sorry. It's if you are applying for courses which are in English, then all the documents must be in English. No German required.
Okay.
It's not required.
Okay.
It's not like France that we have to translate our documents
Translate
in
everything
French.
in French. Yeah.
Yeah. But everything is in English. And other documents that you still require is your CV, of course.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be more than 2 pages because you're just
Yeah.
going for
Usually, yeah.
masters. Yeah. And then what else? Like a transcript of all your like 6 semesters, like all the semesters that you passed.
Yeah.
So because some people send like their mark sheets, it's not normally not allowed. You need to look for a way that you can send your transcript. So one
Yeah.
page and everything is given.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I'm not able to remember
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
else.
Maybe the scores of IELTS or TOEFL.
Yeah,
is
of
required,
course. Yeah. So for that, actually, a very good point because I had forgotten to mention this. You have to submit like a proof of your TOEFL exam, but it's not enough
Okay.
because you have to. So, for example, when you take that exam,
Okay.
you are required. So the cost of the exam. So I'm not sure how much is it right now in India because when I took that exam, it was like 6 years ago. So it's
Yeah.
been a long time. But at that time, I remember I paid like 11,000 rupees, which is close to 130 euros or something.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I took TOEFL once again when I was applying for PhD
Yeah.
because I was not sure where I was going. So I took in Germany and the cost was 180 euros. So I'm not sure if it's 180 euros globally or in Europe it was more expensive. But when you take that exam, when you are sitting, on your computer in the center,
Yeah.
you can send your score to 4 universities for free.
Okay.
Yeah. So every university have their code, like for
Okay.
even every department. So it could depend if the university is really big. For example, you are talking about University of California, Santa Barbara or something like, which is a very, very, very big university. Then every department has a different sub code. So you need to note that, and you can just fill in the code that you want to send, and whenever your TOEFL scores will be out, they will directly send that score to the university. So that university would have already received your score even before you send your application. So that's the thing. Yeah. And then if you want to apply for more than 4 universities, because normally you will not just apply to 4 universities, you have to pay $20 it was per university at that time in 2016 2017. So it was $20 per university. So you can do from your home, like whenever you get your score, you just need to write like the code of the university that you send in, and every send after 4 university you need to pay like $20 extra.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the way.
Okay. So now we have come to the university. Let's say we have selected our university. We have got into the university. Now tell us, like, please elaborate on the course structure and like how much time does it take to finish a master's, like a general time? Because I have heard that in Germany it's not like fixed. It can vary from 2 to 3 years sometimes. And because in some other countries, for example, like in the UK or in the UK, it's just 1 year, and in the US, I think it's 2 years. But in Germany, I've heard like people like saying that it's not fixed. You might get it in 2 years or like in 3 years. So can you please elaborate on the course structure and like how much time does it take?
Yeah. So I think 2 years is almost impossible. I think not even almost. I have never seen any single person in like 3 years I spent there to do in 2 years. It's like it minimum is like 2.5 years minimum, and a realistically good chance is like 3 years. Like 2 years, 10 months, 9 months is like the realistically minimum time that you require. Like I graduated in 2 years, 10 months or something like that. And I think I was like the 4th or 5th person from my whole class to get graduated. Because as you said, like it varies. So not everyone graduated at the same time, which is a bit odd because in India we have like same system, so everyone graduates on the same day. It's very, very, very flexible system. You can take any exam any time of the year. I mean, not any time, like there are 3 dates, but you can still select one of the any 3. You can still not take it. You can do whatever you want. It's very flexible system. The coursework is like normally there are 3 semesters, academic semesters.
You mean teaching semesters, like you'd have to,
you have to take the course and everything. So there are 3 semesters which are academic. So you have to take the classes. Then you have, for example, I'm talking about RWTH Aachen metallurgy. It could be different in some universities, but I will talk like I'll specify what things are common between all the universities. So I'll start with like how it was for me, or at least for my course. So it's 3 semesters on specific coursework. Then it's like because you know in India we are not our bachelor thesis is not very good. You know, you also know like what we did in bachelor's was So what we did in our bachelor's was like took like 4 or 5 papers and just you know read something, did some experiments, and like that's the end of our bachelor thesis. So in Germany, bachelor thesis is a big deal. So, because when I was doing my internship, I had like a bachelor thesis student, and I could see how many experiments he had to do to finish his bachelor thesis. So because of this thing, at least at my university, the professors understood that internationals need to understand how a thesis is written. So after 3 semesters, we have to actually, you can do this even during the semester, which I did. I did this in my 3rd semester. We have to write like a mini thesis. So you have to do like a 10 weeks small thesis, like a project with any of the PhD candidates at your institute. You will just email them and they will give you some topic, and it could be like a simulation based work or like a normal internship, like you do an academic internship. You write like 30 to 50 pages thesis, and then when you do that, you get access to do a thesis. Then only you can do a thesis. Before that, you cannot even apply for a thesis, like a master thesis. So that was this. And then
what do you mean? What do you mean by like applying for the thesis? Because somebody has got into masters, finished 3 years or 3 semesters of teaching, and then if that person does not do this like mini thesis thing, he or she cannot enter into is it like internship or like the final research work or the final part of your masters?
So I mean, there are some still flexibilities like so technically, without doing a mini thesis, the professor will not accept your thesis. Like, for example, I don't know how to say. So in India, it was like when we did our bachelor's, topics, at least for my university, I remember like topics were distributed. So we just had to make either groups of 2 people, and then the professor would say, okay, your topic is this, and then you study on this topic. In Germany, it's not like this. So you still have to, there are 2 options when it comes to thesis. Either you can do with a professor that you like this topic, you like his research. So you mail him that I'm really interested in working with you. And then he will look at your grades and what you did, how is your background. And then he will forward your thesis or your CV to one of his PhD candidates or postdoc candidates. And then they will ask you like, okay, come for an interview. And then it's not like a very formal interview. So if you are doing well, you will easily get a thesis in general. So you go there to the institute to talk to the PhD guys, and then you will decide, okay, we will do this. But if you haven't done like a mini thesis, you will not get invited or something. Normally, so for example, there was a problem with my mini thesis because I had already finished it, I had written it, but it was not being evaluated by some issues. But still, I started my thesis, so it's okay. But normally, if the professors don't know you, then they will not accept you. So it's like that. And then so 3 semesters of teaching, 1 mini thesis where you do like a project, and then it comes your internship, like industrial internship. Now, this industrial internship could be of 2 categories. One is Pflichtpraktikum, which is the course mandates your internship. there is a mandatory internship in your master course.
Okay.
And there is another one is freiwilliges practicum, which is like a voluntary internship. So you don't need this internship. As soon as you write your mini thesis, you can directly go for a thesis.
Okay.
But if you want to go for a job after your master's, getting an internship and then getting selected. So what normally happens is you start an internship at a company, then you do the thesis at the same company in the same team. So you basically have spent 1 year at that company. The people like you, and then they extend your contract to like a permanent contract as an engineer. So this is the best case scenario if you are looking to get a job after your master's. So if people, so we'll talk about this later. And then after you come, for example, for me, it was Pflicht practicum, so a mandatory internship. So I did my internship and then I could go for a thesis. And then while going for a thesis, as I said, you can go to, there are two categories. One is you can do at your university or you can do in industry, depending upon what you like.
Okay. So like my question here is like, why do you think, because you only spend like 3, is it because of the internships that you have to do for your master's course? That's why it takes a lot of time to finish your master's there, or is it like very difficult to score, so you couldn't clear your teaching semesters? Like how's it like, and how's the grading system like? Like, is it different from other countries? So can you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I will start with like why I took like close to 3 years. So
not you, like why does is it
but in general, like So yeah, it's, to be honest, it was a bit of surprise to me when I went to Germany, because I thought like only in India they require like pinpoint answers. But it was a bit similar in Germany, that they need pinpoint answers. They are sort of perfectionists. They want perfection in every single aspect. There is a very common phrase in German, is like over engineering. They are so much involved in every single thing, is they over engineer everything. It's like a very funny phrase for them. They call themselves like over engineers. So it's very hard. Like, for example, I remember, or even our professors told us, like, if you want to just pass your course, you have to study for like a month for just pass the course. So it's very, very difficult. It could be a subjective exam, depending upon what professors give you. There are many quizzes which are happening. There is no attendance, so you can choose not to go to any class. It's very, very flexible. You can take that course, you can not take that course, you can go for electives. And also the exam pattern is very flexible. As I was saying, that, for example, let's say the institute has decided that for this semester, like for people who are in 3rd semester of their masters, they will have, let's say, 5 subjects. It could be like steel making or non-ferrous metallurgy, physical metallurgy, blah blah. So when the institute has decided that you will go for five subjects this semester, this semester you will have 2 dates to give that exam. Like section A, it's called as, I think, block A, block B. And then if you decide to not take any of the dates, then you can take in like next semester, but there will be like only 1 date. So there will be no subject or coursework which will go on, but you can still give exam. Just go to the university and give exam. But with every single block, the difficulty rises. So block A is the easiest, block B is even difficult, and block C will be the most difficult. So it's like that. And what else? I think for I was saying that for how I took like 3 years. So it's like 3 semesters of normal coursework, and I did my mini thesis in my 3rd semester. So I took the mini thesis is of 10 weeks, and the mandatory internship is also of 10 weeks. But what I did is I asked my company to give me a longer contract, because I came to do masters in Germany directly after my bachelor, so I did not have any work experience. So that was the only work experience I was going to get before I go for a PhD.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I decided to do like a 6 months internship instead of 10 weeks.
I mean,
So I
that's the
did like
reason why your master's took like more than 2 years.
like a bit,
Otherwise, when you said
took a
like
bit.
10 weeks, it's like around 5 months or 6 months.
And then a 6 months thesis. The thesis is 6 months.
Okay.
You can still finish in, I think, in 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 months, but it is impossible
Okay.
to write a thesis because you need to write like 100 pages proper thesis.
Okay. Okay.
100 pages. Yeah.
Okay. 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 Great. So, coming to the end of the podcast, I have the final question for you. So, most of the time, people like those who are going for masters or those who are going outside India to pursue their masters, they would want to have something in their hand at the end of their masters. When I say something, it means like the placement or any job. So, can you tell me something about how's the placement like? Do you have campus placements, or like do you have to do everything by yourself, or like can you get your extension of your internship, and can you convert that into is there any possibility to get a conversion into the like a full-time job? How's it
Yeah. So to answer your first question, there is no on like campus placement in Germany or in Europe as we normally experience in India. So there are four options that you can go, or 3-4 ways that you can get an internship or a job. My bad. The best possible way is to get an internship and then try to convince your boss or like your team that you are really good, so that they will extend your contract into a job. This is like the best case scenario. Or like you get an internship and then because you have like industrial experience in country and then you also speak the language, so then you apply for jobs. Then when you apply for jobs, there could be like 3 ways. One is of course LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like a great way to find jobs even in Germany. Second thing is there's so many companies which are like very local, so you can go to their websites and directly apply in the career section and talk to the people. But the thing is, being international, so we don't know these companies. We only know like international companies, Bosch, Porsche, Daimler, Audi, like big companies. But when it comes to local, and the local companies also pay quite a lot, because I said they are like the manufacturing sector is quite nice actually, because in Europe we see that mostly Europeans are not manufacturing. They are just giving the manufacturing sector in like asking the Chinese, or even in India there is a lot of manufacturing going on. But in Germany actually manufacturing goes on quite a lot. So to find these local companies, there is a job fair, like it's known as bonding. Bonding is an event which happens in every major city where there is a big university. So for example, Aachen had like bonding Aachen. So it's a 3-day kind of a job fair. There are like hundreds of companies which visit. They have their stalls, and like you get a booklet. You see which domain this company is working. The HRs and the managers come for that event. So you directly go to them. You talk to them. You can even drop your CVs. They at these events, they even have some counselors, so you can talk to them. You can ask like, what should I add in my CV, or what should I add in my cover letter, and so on and so forth. So these are some ways to find a job.
You talked about the local companies. What I figured out in my experience is that these 2 local companies, like in order to have a job in a country like you are not a citizen of, like it's important for you to have the visa sponsorship. But sometimes these local companies do not provide visa sponsorship. So how is it like in Germany? Like, is it easy to get sponsorship from these local companies, or from the other companies as well?
So for Germany, this requirement is not like no company has to sponsor your visa. So as soon as I think there is a concept of blue card. So I'm not sure, because the information that I have is like 2 years old before COVID. So I don't know if they changed during COVID. But normally to get this blue card is like what we have Thailand passport and what we have right now. Blue card is like that. So to get that blue card, you need to have minimum salary of 40,000 euros per annum. So if your company is giving you salary of more than 45,000, whatever the number is, you can directly go with your contract, with your, with your stuff. You get a blue card and that's it. There is no problem of visa sponsorship as such.
Okay.
Just like you need to make sure that the salary that you will be getting is more than the gross salary is more than the minimum number to get the blue card.
Okay. So that was it from my side, and thank you, Shubham, for giving us the time, and I hope to see you very soon.
Yeah, very thank you actually to have me. It's a good thing because we have experienced this from some years, and of course it feels nice to help someone. Yeah. And Deepak, what you are doing is great initiative to directly actually record this. So whenever someone asks, I can directly send this link to people. So it could help me as well.
You as well. Like you can save your energy.
Also, and no, but actually the questions that you're asking are also important because some people, when they are thinking of masters, they don't know what questions to ask. Yeah, exactly. And this lack of knowledge of asking questions, like it's that as we normally discuss, there are two things. One is like that you don't know this, you can directly ask, and the thing is you don't know what you don't know, so you don't know what to ask. And exactly. Like what the questions that you're asking will help people to not have this phase of don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
So great initiative. Congratulations on your initiative.
Thank you, Shubham. Thank you, and thank you for the time.
Yeah, man. So bye, and I hope you have like great success.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you. Take care. Thank you so much, guys, for watching the entire episode. Now, if you have any questions or if you want me to make a podcast or invite someone for any particular question, you can leave your questions in the comment sections. And also, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel so that you can get all the information. And also, please don't forget to press the bell icon. See you in the next episode.